here's a look ahead at the Week 2 games. Some very interesting ones, and we are going to pick several of them, including that Chiefs-Jags game in Jacksonville. Man, Pete is off to an incredible start this year. 9-4 in Week 1. He hit his best bet. Brady just under 500 because of that best bet. Nice picks, fellas. All right.
I told you I'd make amends for last year.
Full sense of sarcasm there. And by the way, you know the golden rule.
I know.
If you do well in Week 1, you're destined for an awful season.
Usually Week 1's one of the toughest weeks.
And yeah, you did well. So
yeah. I don't know.
I'm just saying.
That is hot. So let's start with Thursday Night Football this week. It's the Vikings coming off a really disappointing home loss at the Eagles. They're not happy about how they played in New England, but they won. They're 7-point favorites. Brady, road teams were 12-4 against the spread in Week 1.
And that's kind of where I'm going here. I think the Minnesota Vikings obviously lost Week 1 versus Tampa. Not really sure what to make of that lopsided performance. Obviously, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, they're going to be able to throw the football around. The run game's not there. You're wondering if they missed Dalvin Cook. Maybe they could have worked some things out there. But defensively, I think that keeps them in this game. It keeps it a tight ball game, close ball game. Wasn't overly impressed with how Philly looked in Week 1 either. Look, there's always that Super Bowl hangover, Pete. Maybe that's something that Philly's dealing with. But either way, I think the Eagles win at home, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than 7 points.
Yeah, I don't think the Vikings are going to cover in this game, and here's why. You're on a short week, that's tough. You're also playing a team in its home opener. That's tough. You're playing an Eagles team.
So are you saying, like, for the home openers, they get a little extra juiced up? Like a little extra motivated, the players
do? The fans are. The players do.
Oh, okay.
The fans do. And then you're also a team that didn't play well. You mentioned it. They were not good last week.
Neither team really played great.
No, but the Eagles are better than the Vikings, and they didn't play well at all. And Nick Sirianni said, hey, we needed to play in the preseason. I'll revisit that again, and I think he's right. The offensive line, which is a strength, didn't play well. They'll play better. I think they'll move the football much better this time around. I'll take the Eagles minus the points. And I am hot, so you might want to follow my lead here today.
Week 1. You're going to revert back to the mean.
I'm stunned that you didn't reference Kirk Cousins. Prime time.
Is this a big game?
I'm starting to
is this a big game?
I've made amends with Kirk ever since watching him on that show.
Oh, you
and
didn't.
I will not say that. It is a prime time game.
Look at the Thursday numbers, though, Pete.
No, but you know what?
This is a misnomer. He's 3-0 in Thursday games. Yeah, the last 3 seasons, anyway.
By the way, he came across very well in that quarterback show. I thought it was. He did, and so I'm going to be nicer to Kirk Cousins. But it is a primetime game, and he will struggle.
Well, Matt Stafford's doing it for season 2, so maybe we should be nicer to him, too.
By the way, he struggled last week, Kirk Cousins. He moved the ball up and down the field. He turned it over twice in the pocket and threw an interception. So it wasn't a very good performance by them. Should have won that game.
He slung it around pretty good last week.
Should have won the game.
Yep.
Opposite sides on the Thursday game. Let's move to Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern time on CBS. Chiefs, 3-point favorites at the Jags. Pete, it's been 1999, the Broncos, the last team to win a Super Bowl and then start 0-2 the following season. And that was a team that was totally rebuilding after John Elway's retirement.
Well, there's going to be another one this year because Jacksonville's going to win this game. This is going to be an environment like they had in the postseason last year against the Chargers. That place was just rocking, and it will be rocking again. And when you look at Jacksonville, they scored 31 points last week against the Colts. Now, the Colts aren't a great team, but Gus Bradley's smart, good defensive coordinator, keeps everything in front, and it took him a while to get going. When you scored 31 points on offense and you didn't play that well, that's a great sign. They're going to play well in this game. They will move the football down the field. They had some problems. Chris Jones being back is a problem because they had some problems on the interior blocking last week. That's going to be a problem. But how healthy will he be? How much can he play?
Maybe on a pitch count, too.
Right. So I think Jacksonville's going to win the game and get to 2-0 and take a really good look at how they can win this #1 seed in the AFC because this is a big game in terms of that. And it's a proving game. A lot of people don't believe in Jacksonville yet. They just don't. National media, they don't believe in them yet. They win this game, they start believing in them.
I believe in Calvin Ridley, the impact he had last week in Week 1. I mean, my goodness, he looks like the fastest player on the field every time he's out there, with the exception of Tyreek Hill. But look, the offense is going to be able to put up some points versus this Chiefs defense. I truly believe that. It comes down to, can the defense stop Patrick Mahomes? And another week of really putting together a game plan, probably without Travis Kelce. I know he's practicing right now, but he's not 100%. So at this point, they're looking for answers. I mean, it seemed like last week, Kansas City, granted, they had extra time to prepare for this one. They just didn't really have an answer when they needed it the most. And I think they're going to need an answer. This is probably one of those games where it's last team, with the ball last ends up winning the game. So I'm going to take the 3 points in Jacksonville. I'm not calling the outright win like Pete is and saying take the money line, but I think it's going to be that close.
You like the over, too, because I like the over.
I do like the over.
See, I put an over pick here. Yours says under.
I had under.
I
like the under. Sorry.
You changed. You flip-flopped.
I didn't flip-flop. I had under in there. I had
under the whole time.
I had over for the first game. That was
You just said it's going to be one of those last teams that has the ball going.
That doesn't mean it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Yes, it does.
I'm saying the team that has the ball last is going to end up winning the game.
Oh, okay.
Both those things can be true.
Yeah,
you know that, right?
You thought you had the over.
What does that say?
Here we are, week 2. He's flip-flopping already.
It could be 0-0. The team that has the ball last could win
the game.
Yeah, but that's not what he meant, though.
That is what I meant. I think we're talking two different languages.
No. Yeah. We're talking football language.
You're talking grandpa. I'm going to talk to all the common people.
You failed.
Pete's got his chest all pumped out. He's Mayor Jackson.
He's peacocking around the whole studio right now.
going to the Super Bowl. He's loving things.
If they go to the Super Bowl, you're getting that hot tub there in Jacksonville.
Oh no, I'm not.
Yeah, you are. We're gonna make that.
He'll throw you in there.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to another 1 o'clock Eastern Time game on CBS. It's the Ravens at the Bengals in Cincinnati after that dud in Week 1. 3.5-point favorites. Lamar Jackson 8-1 against the spread in 9 career games as a road dog.
Yeah, he's tough to stop, and we saw that obviously Week 1. Granted, you're talking about it's still a team in the Houston Texans that aren't at the caliber of the Cincinnati Bengals. I've got some concerns though about the Bengals. Look, the weather was terrible in Cleveland, but they could not protect Joe Burrow, and he does not look 100%. He was not moving around well. Maybe the calf is still impacting that. Maybe it was the field conditions. Whatever you want to resort to, you're going to see, because it's a copycat league, you're going to see the Baltimore Ravens implement some very similar rush patterns to see if they can't get pressure on Joe Burrow in this offensive line that's supposed to be the best he's ever played behind. It did not look like it Week 1. Jim Schwartz, Myles Garrett, Za'Darius Smith, that defense really got after him, and that's concerning moving forward, especially if he's not as mobile as he usually is. So, again, another one where 3.5 points. If this was at 3, I might side with the Bengals here, feel a little better about it, but it's just hard coming off of Week 1, feeling confident taking the Bengals like you are. So I'll take the 3.5 points in Baltimore.
Yeah, I didn't like what I saw from the Bengals last week, but I think the weather, you mentioned it, and him first game back, I mean, he missed the preseason. That's an issue. You should play some in the preseason. I'm a big believer in that now, by the way, after watching last week's performances all around the league. And I think the Ravens, we didn't see their explosive offense that we thought we would see. The Todd Monken offense, we're going to score a ton of points. No, they didn't. They didn't do that. So I think they're going to go in there. It's going to be a little tougher for them to move the football. I think the Bengals are good on defense. And on the other side, I think Joe Burrow will get it figured out. He's got too many weapons. They'll score points. This was a tough one for me. If we were forced to pick it, otherwise I probably wouldn't take it. But
I like the over in this game, though, too. I think both teams score some
Or
points.
is that the under?
It says over on my sheet. It didn't flip-flop. That's it.
Bengals started 0-2 last season, too, and we're just fine. So we'll see what happens in that one. Sunday Night Football, it's the Dolphins coming off that great come-from-behind win at the Chargers at the New England Patriots. Tua has won 4 straight against Bill Belichick, Brady.
Yeah, well, I think, look, Mike McDaniel, this offense is as explosive as it gets. And, Bill Belichick can drop whatever he wants as far as a game plan going into it. Once you get on the field, the things they're doing with Tyreek Hill, he's impossible to cover, and he's just one of many talented, fast players they've got on offense. So this one, to me, is another one. I like the over because the Dolphins are going to score, and the Pats are going to score because the Dolphins apparently can't stop much given what we saw in Week 1 versus the Chargers. So high-scoring game. I love the over. If I had to make a play on the spread here, I have to lay the 2 points with the Dolphins, Pete, given the history, but also I think what I saw last week. I don't know that Mac Jones and this Patriots offense and its second game with Bill O'Brien can go blow for blow with the Dolphins in this one. This is one of those ones where you can make the case, whoever has the ball last, but it's going to be a higher scoring game. Different than what we talked about a moment ago.
See, I don't know if it's going to be a higher scoring game. I'm going to go the other way in terms of the defensive performance. I think Bill Belichick is going to be criminal when it comes to defending Tyreek Hill. Okay. They're going to mug him. They're going to rob him. They're going to beat him. They're going to do everything they can
and you can't
to
do
keep
that.
him.
Can't do that. Not the way they move him around. Did you see when they motion him to the stack, the stem outside release, pushes upfield, comes back on the in-cut?
And the ones,
you can't cover that.
I get that.
So
but
how
there
do
were
you
plenty of there are opportunities when he ran by the corner when he was lined up wide one time, and it didn't matter. So you got to get your hands on him, beat him up, hit him, do everything you can, double him, take him away. Belichick once put 3 guys on Tony Gonzalez, and when they played the Falcons, I think he's going to do
Gates, yeah.
He's going to do everything. He's going to do
it with the title when they're in line.
Everything he can to take him away, make somebody else beat them. I'm going to take the Patriots and the points.
Okay. Pete says do everything but go at his knees to take him out early in this game.
He would say that off air. If we weren't sitting on air right now, he would say that.
Back in the day, they would have. You're not allowed to do that.
Back in your NFL days, right?
The old Oakland Raiders used to do that.
Back when I was playing, they would say, take him out of the game altogether. Just go for the headshot.
Ooh. Yeah, I can't say that.
You played mean game, Brady.
Dolphins, by the way, have covered in 5 straight against the Patriots. Let's move on to best bets. And Pete, you're going to stay right there because that's the game you love the most this week.
Outright win for the New England Patriots. I just think the whole combination going west, you're the very favorite of the league. Everybody loves Tua and Tyreek Hill.
Is that back-to-back weeks?
It is.
Uh-oh.
And they went west and played at
road
Chargers.
games on both coasts.
Yeah. And everybody's reading their press clippings. They're great. He's the greatest in the world. He's going to break Dan Marino's records. Unbelievable. And then you get Bill Belichick and that defense. And that defense played well last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they play well here. Patriots win the game outright. How about that?
Pete Prisco's best bet. We'll see if it pays off.
What's your best bet?
I'm laying 3 points with the Saints in Carolina. We talked about the success of road teams in week 1. I also think the Saints team is just in a better spot right now than where the Carolina Panthers are. There's just no vertical passing game from the Panthers. Maybe they try to change that in this matchup, but I also think they've got a much more difficult matchup, the Panthers do, than what they had in week 1 versus the Saints defense. So they got to figure out some way of opening things up, allowing Bryce Young to throw the ball downfield. I don't think we're going to see that. I've got more confidence and faith in the Saints laying the 3, even on the road at this point in time.
I like your best bet.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Road teams 12-4 against the spread in week 1. Unders were 12-4 against the spread in week 1. But of the games that we picked, although Pete, you said you like the Saints +3, right?
Saints -3.
-3. The only other one they agree on is the Jaguars covering the 3 at home against
we're not going to get that one
the
right.
Kansas City Chiefs.
That's the kiss of death.
Pete's off to a great start.
Say goodnight to your undefeated season, Jacksonville.
See if Brady can turn things around this week.